No matter what anybody tells you, words and ideas can change the world.
I'm interested in one thing, Neil, the future. And believe me, I know the only way to get there is together.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
You may think you know what you're dealing with, but believe me, you don't.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
For centuries, philosophers have used the dialogue to search for truth, because it's through conversation, through the Logos, that we find it. This is the Dialogue, where ancient philosophy, history, and theology meet modern life. Together, we'll wrestle with big questions and give our answers through the way we live. Let's start the conversation.
Okay, man.
You're looking
Look,
good,
so
man. It's working. Whatever you're doing is working.
Yeah, dude, it's amazing what happens whenever you just go full monk mode because your family's gone.
Consistency and discipline.
Yeah, it's amazing what happens when you eat a lot of protein and work out. Anyways, dude, so I want to close the loop.
We started talking about feedback a couple episodes ago.
Yeah, but specifically, like I'm going to stay disciplined here.
Okay.
And like I'm going to ask you to do the same thing.
I make no guarantees.
Okay, that's not promising, but we'll take it. Okay, so dude, you've been writing this book, man, and I'm going to give my summary version because I'll stay focused for a few seconds here.
Awesome.
So like you were writing a book, you were very excited about it. I remember like the only episode that we ever did of this podcast that we said that'll never see the light of day was because of you were diving around this topic of what is truth for part of your book. Like you wrote this massive book, and because you have a literary agent who's now tell everybody what a literary agent does.
Well, basically what a literary agent does is they go and they present they work with you to put basically a book proposal together. So
right.
Typically in the publishing world, you don't write the book first.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. So you have a platform, you have an audience, you have an idea.
Right.
And you present that to literary agents, or literary agents approach you depending on maybe your level of influence or your level of knowledge in a certain world. So like literary agents will go to professors at colleges and they'll go like, hey, we think you should write a book on this because you of your level of influence or whatever. Then you put a book proposal together. You sell that proposal to a publisher, and then the publisher helps you write the book. So you sell the proposal, then you write the book, and then you work with the publisher to have it come out.
Oh, dude, so it's like making a movie. Like they want to know that it's going to sell first.
Yeah, they want to know what your audience is. They want to know what the idea is. Now, I'm sure you could say this as like a professional marketing.
This sounds right up my alley.
Yeah, now a lot of marketing stuff with books, the market's so saturated that pretty much they're going to write you a book to sell to your existing audience.
Yeah. I mean, it's good old fashioned content marketing.
Yeah.
Like it's been going on for a long time. It works.
Yeah, and so I never really wanted to do any of that. I never thought I would. I've said this before on the podcast, but I don't really like marketing. And what I mean by I don't like marketing is not that I don't believe in it.
Feelings when you say that.
It's still a lot of work. It's so much work, and it's work I don't want to do, honestly.
Yeah,
right?
I think you don't want to do inauthentic marketing.
Well,
which I like that.
Not really. I mean, and I don't want to be inauthentic, but also I don't want to sit down and go, okay, well, how do we make sure and tailor this message to this audience person who doesn't really, like, it's almost like, well, this person doesn't really care what you have to say, but you have to say it in a way that gets them to care about what you have to say, because what you have to say can actually help them.
Right.
Which is a very marketing conversation to have.
Yeah, it is.
So I have ideas. The way I feel personally is I have ideas. I have a lot of thoughts. If you like them, great. If you don't, go find someone else to listen to.
Right.
But that's really immature, actually.
Okay.
I think it's really, I've said this on the first episode we did on feedback that I was talking to, I think I said this. If I didn't, I was talking to Erwin McManus, a friend of mine, and he's a really well-known author, right? And he's published books that have sold, millions of copies. So I'm in this, I'll tell the story. I guess I'll come back and tell the story, but I'm making this point now. So I'm in this situation where people are like, well, we don't think this book is going to find an audience. It's a really great book. It's a good idea, but we don't think this book's going to find an audience.
This happened to Erwin.
This happened to me.
Oh, right.
So I'm talking to him about it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, what would you do? Like, what have you done? Because you've had maybe ideas that you really loved that, they didn't feel like were going to sell. So I said something that I go, well, I don't really care. I don't really care how many people buy it.
Right.
And so he's like, why would you say that? He goes, why would you feel that way? Like, what do you mean? He goes, number one, if you're trying to make a career out of this, you should really care about how many people buy it, right? Because that'll determine if you ever get another deal or if you make any money on the book. But the second thing is, do you think this can help people? I'm like, yeah, I think it can help people. It's like, so why wouldn't you want this to help as many people as possible? Why would you go, I don't really care if anyone likes it or buys it. You want people to like it and buy it because you want it to help as many people as possible. So he said to me, he goes, you have to think about, he goes, you've done a great job thinking about what you want to say, which is really important. But what you don't think enough about is what people need to hear. And
it's very good.
And I wrote about this on my Substack, but I've heard that feedback quite a bit over the past couple of years, where I was like, man, I really need to work on communicating in a way that actually works for people where they're at and what they need to hear. Because I mean, I said this on a couple of podcasts lately, but what you say is always at the mercy of a person's level of understanding. So if I'm talking at like a level 10, not that it's just super high level, but if I'm talking at a level that people can't understand, then what I'm saying doesn't actually help them at all.
Yeah.
Right. So the average person, for instance, reads at an 8th grade level.
Yeah.
And I can say, well, I'm going to write a book for, a 12th grade level, or I'm going to write a college level book. Well, the only people that are going to read that are at that level. You're not going to change the average reading level. Like you're not, me sitting down and writing a book about all the things that I want to talk about isn't going to change whether or not anybody's interested in it.
Right.
But the ideas that I have and the ideas that people have can really move the needle and change the world if you package them correctly.
Right.
And the problem for so many people, right? So many people with great ideas, so many people with great content, great things to say, is not what they say, it's how it's packaged and put together. And I think I'm in just an overall season of learning that, because for a long time I haven't cared, and in my default state I don't really care.
Yeah.
Like I'm more concerned with truth.
Right.
I'm really interested in what's true and what's right and what's good. And if that doesn't resonate with you, I don't care, because it's not, for most people, their idea of success has something to do with influence or approval, right? Of like the masses. Like people get on social media and they post what they post because they're trying to get the highest level of engagement possible.
Look how many plays I got. I got
right,
this many likes.
that there's a significant metric of success to that. People that you think about publicly owned companies, publicly traded companies. The whole idea behind that is we're going to maximize shareholder value. Right. I guess in some ways that can be good, but in some ways that can be a very toxic way to live. Not only as it relates to actually adding value to people's lives and actually solving problems, but it can be toxic about yourself, because you're not really focused on maximizing who you are or living a good life. What you're focused on is doing things that are popular.
Right. It can shift that way.
Yeah, very easily.
Yeah.
And so I've kind of run away from that to the point where I've lived my life saying no to things.
Right.
Like I've lived my life saying, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that, because that gets me too close to maybe being a person like that.
Right.
Like when I wrote my first book, I had to get talked into it.
Yeah. By your dad.
Yeah, because I'm like, I don't want to be a book guy. I don't want to be some guy that's walking around with my book, peddling my book to people, trying to get them to buy my book.
Yeah.
Right. Because I've been annoyed at people like that.
Right.
Like I've had so many people in my life who I have friends who write books and who create stuff. And so, but some of those friends, the only time I hear from them is when they wrote a new book they want me to promote, or they want to come be a part of my thing so that so that they can sell their book. Which,
by the way, this episode is brought to you by The Way to Live by Josh Kraft. Get it now on Amazon.
Which to me is just really transactional. So I prefer not to have transactional relationships, even if that's detrimental to me personally.
Right.
Like I remember the first time I went to, I was a youth pastor. I was in my early 20s. I'm like, man, I got to have friends. I got to have other youth pastors that I'm friends with, right? So I go to like a youth conference, and I don't understand the game at this point. There's a whole game that's attached to this, right? So the game is that a lot of people, I'm not saying this is the motivation behind why people go to church conferences, but a lot of pastors and wannabe leaders in the church, they go to church conferences and they go to environments like church environments because of how much they want to be on a platform. So they think, I'm going to go to this room, I'm going to go to this conference, I'm going to go to this environment, I'm going to get a bunch of people's numbers, or I'm going to become known there. And then I'll find a way to get myself on a platform in that room. I'll find a way to become known, And then I'll be able to, best case scenario, I'll be able to accomplish what I feel called to do.
Right.
Because I've never heard someone say, for instance, hey, I feel called to speak to a room of 10 people.
Right.
I've heard a lot of people say, I feel called to speak to a room of 10,000 people.
Right.
Right. So is that right or wrong? I don't know. It's just the way that it works. Well, I didn't know this is the way that it works. This is just how it works at networking events, by the way. Like if you go to any kind of networking event,
yeah,
a lot of the ideas behind networking events are fine, but they're all transactional.
Matt, I hate networking for that exact reason, dude. Yeah.
It's transactional. It's promote my business. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. The church is not immune to that.
Yeah.
Right.
It's human, right? There's
right.
human.
So I go to my first youth conference and I'm like, I just want to have friends. I don't have any ambition to preach or to be like a guy like that. I also don't have anything that's an opportunity for someone. Like I had 50 people in my youth group.
Right.
Right. So I meet this one particular person. He's a pretty high level youth pastor. And I didn't know him before. So I meet him before we exchange numbers. I'm like, oh, cool, man. I get home, I made a friend. So he calls me like the next week. He's like, hey man, I'd love to schedule you to come out to speak to my youth at some point. And this guy had a youth ministry of like 2,000 people.
Right.
Right. I'm like, we weren't posting videos of me speaking on YouTube.
Right.
Right. So I'm like, have you ever heard me speak? Like, he's like, no, but we could swap. So you come speak to my youth, I can come speak to your youth.
Oh, okay.
And I go, well, I'd love to do that. I said, I don't, maybe sometime when you're in town, I don't have like money to, pay you like an honorarium, and I only have like 50 people in the youth.
Yeah.
So, great. I'd be glad to have you, but I can't pay for you to come in at all or anything like that. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. I said, well, I'd still, if you still want me to come preach for you, like I'd be open to talking about that. He's like, oh no, don't worry about it. It's okay. That was the last time I talked to that guy.
No way.
Yeah. I'm not saying every interaction goes that way.
Dude,
but
that one just got stored deep in your your core memory bank.
So I haven't gone to like a church conference or anything like that in a really long time.
I didn't even know they did church
outside of going to friends. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that. Outside of going to like friends conferences that I'm actually friends with, because you go in the room and it's like, so now I'll go to stuff and people will be like, oh, what do you do? I'm like, I just help my dad. I help my dad pastors a church, and they're like, how much does your church run, or what's it at? I'm like, I don't really know. I'm just there to help.
Is that the first question people ask? Is how big is it?
Yeah, how you guys doing? Usually they'll say how you guys doing, and what they're asking is how much you running, how many people you running.
So if you were like, dude, the Holy Spirit is breaking out, we're seeing like lives transformed, making disciples, that's not a good answer.
Yeah, like, hey, we had 200 guys graduate from our Mighty Men Path this last year, whatever the number would be. It's
255.
Like only 200. Like, what are you guys doing wrong?
For real?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
But it's all like a lot of leadership rooms. I'm trying to come up with a better word, but there's a word that starts with a D and then it goes with measuring contest, right? So a lot of it's like that, right? And
dog measuring contest.
Dog
obviously
measuring contest, yeah.
Yes.
And so I didn't ever want that. That's not really what I want. I want genuine, authentic relationships, and so I don't just like. Don't hate the player, hate the game. I don't dislike people that do that, because you want to build what you're doing. I just have always been like, I'm going to go as far away from that as possible.
I get that, man.
So I've spent a lot of my time saying no to things, and saying no to like people invite me to come speak at their church. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. People wanting to give me opportunities and me going, yeah, I don't want to be a guy So
I have questions I want to ask, but I'm not going to, because I want to stay focused on what we were saying. So I want to close the loop on this story that we started. I don't even know how long ago. So you wrote this big book after having this literary agent.
So this guy reaches out to me,
and he
says,
I still remember where I was whenever you
have you ever thought about working with a publisher to publish your book? And I'm like, I DM this guy back. I don't really look DMs. I look at DMs every once in a while. But I'm not really super responsive. I'm not responsive in my personal life. I don't respond to emails or texts, and all my friends know that. But anyway,
I feel like I've got like maybe a 60 to 70% hit rate.
And it's not that the intention isn't there, by the way. It's not like
anybody that knows you knows that.
So I see this guy. He's like, would you ever think about going a traditional publishing route, because you've self-published a book? And I said, no. And I sent him a long text, here's like 8 reasons why I wouldn't do the work with a publisher. I mean, he asked a very simple question, and I gave him a very long answer back.
And this is from like a well-known place, by the way.
I didn't know who this person
Yeah, but
was.
I just want everybody to know this was not because like so. Here's the thing: me, Garrett, and Josh have a text thread of homies, and like we'll just text each other stuff. And like I remember you put this to us, and I was like, dude, this is awesome. And we were like very encouraging of you. And then you're like, oh, this guy actually. And once you start talking, I'm like, Josh, this is kind of a big deal.
Kind of a big deal.
Like
Yeah,
people dream of getting that DM.
So I wasn't. So a lot of people, what they do is they go around and they look for they want to find an agent who can represent them because they want to get a publishing deal. Or for me, again, the reason why I'm telling that story is because I've never spent time on that. I've never concerned myself with that. I self-published a book. It's, my book is fine.
What a great review.
I'm the best self-promoter in the world.
Yeah, my book is
book's
fine. Dude, I'll step in for a second. It's a great book. The Way to Live is a great book, man.
But, it came out 3 years ago. It's probably sold a couple thousand copies in 3 years, which is, that's cool. It hasn't made me a lot of money or made me very successful. And a publisher's not going to care about me selling 2,000 books.
Yeah, right? But dude, it's about a rep.
Yeah, so
you got a repetition.
Yeah, I'm not saying that to be negative.
It's just incredibly negative. That's cool.
Well, no, it's just more like I'm pursuing this truth thing, and I feel like if God wants to bring the game to me, then God will bring the game to me.
You're going to be faithful in the process.
Yeah, if I'm going to do whatever I can do to the best of my ability, and I don't want to ever be like a fake person or overly marketed to where it's I'm doing this for the wrong reasons. Because I feel like if God's going to open a door for me, He's going to open a door for me.
Yeah, you want to keep your heart right. I get that, man.
And I would rather make a mistake on that side than make a mistake on the side of ambition.
Yeah, I'm the same way, bro.
Right?
I get it. Yeah.
So trying to figure out that balance can be really hard. But anyway, this guy reaches out to me and he goes, would you ever think about doing that? I go, no, here's the reasons why. He messages me back and he says, look, I'd really love to just have it's a long text. But he messaged me back this short answer. He's like, I just really love to have a conversation with you because I feel like the world needs your voice. And so,
what a great thing to hear.
So I look this guy up, and I look up this literary agency. Right, his name's Rory Green. He works for a literary agency called Alive Literary, and Alive Literary is one of the largest or most successful literary agencies in the Christian, quote unquote Christian world. So, they're Bob Goff's literary agent. They're all these New York Times best-selling agent people like.
They got a track record.
The Bible recap, Ali Stuckey, all that.
They do Terry Lee Cobble?
Whoever. Yeah, right. They're working with a lot of big time people.
I didn't know they were Terry. I think Bible recap's great.
Yeah. And so I'm like, oh, this is so. Then like on their website, they don't even take submissions. So even if I wanted to work with them,
you couldn't.
They probably wouldn't work with
Don't find us. Don't call us. We'll call you.
Yeah. So they
called you and you're like, get out of here.
Yeah. They called me. They're like, hey, we want to work with you. And I'm like, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Right.
You got the wrong guy.
So he's like, I'd really love to have a conversation with you. I look it up. I go, it's maybe worth having a conversation. But the first thing I say to him on the call is, I'm like, man, why would you want me to? I don't have any influence. I don't have you
shouldn't say you don't have any influence.
Well,
That's not a correct statement.
we have good influence in our community that we're in. We have a decent Instagram following. But that's it. I don't have like a big mailing list. I don't have, like the guys that you see writing books I've got 1 million followers and I've got this really big platform. I'm not even the main guy at my own church.
Right.
So I don't even decide when I speak at the church that I'm a part of. Right. So I'm like, even for me promoting a book in our church, it's not that my dad wouldn't be like all for that.
Yeah.
But for me, like promoting a book in our church would be like, hey, can we maybe figure out some time for me to speak a little more?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that to be self-deprecating. It's just, why would you?
Yeah. You're just telling people where your mindset's at. So what do you say?
Why would you want to? He's like, man, I just feel like watching your stuff and seeing what you do, that you just have a lot to offer. And we should work on a book together.
Yeah.
So I go, okay. He's like, well, so the way it usually works, like I'm saying, is you sit down, you write a proposal, you sell the proposal, then you write the book. I just told him, I said, I can't. And we talked about that a little bit ago about John Bevere. Like I just said, I can't really do that. I have to write the book first.
Right.
So long story short, signed a deal with him. He wanted to sign a long-term deal. I signed a 1-book deal.
Dude, you didn't tell me that.
I said, we'll do 1 book.
He
And
wanted to do
we'll
long
see how
term,
it
and you're
goes.
like, no, let's
He's like,
go
yeah, I
short.
feel like there's a lot of books in you. We'd really love to represent you like really long term. And I said, we'll just see how one book goes and see if we both like the process. You know, I'm very much about
That's a pretty
alignment.
gangster move,
Well, I'm
bro.
very much about alignment, man. And,
No,
and
I-
we're about alignment.
Yeah, I agree.
And so me and Rory had a lot of great values conversations up front. Like, what are your core values,
Yeah.
and what do you? Which like I haven't really talked to him about that, but I'm sure was like a little bit different than.
Dude, there's a lot of wisdom in that, man. Because I think for so many people, they would this is like a little side nugget that I want to put in there because I think it's so perfect. I actually really love that you did that as much as I kind of slapped my forehead whenever you said you did a one book deal. But hearing the reason why is so good, dude. The amount of people, and I'm sure you could list off 20. We'd have to take your shoes off so you could count them all of people who got into a business deal with somebody because what a great opportunity in our church or in circles we know.
Well, I had a. And some of that was me learning. Like, even though I grew up in a church, my dad talks a lot about alignment.
Yeah.
And I grew up in an environment where I heard that a lot. And we don't just talk about that in church, we talk about that in business, that it's never about what you're doing. It's always about who you're with.
100.
Right?
Yeah. And that sounds really great until someone comes along and they go, dude, look at the market cap. Like, look at the opportunity.
Look at what
on
could
this.
happen here.
Yeah, we could. And then so next thing you know, you're like, dude, I've got 10% equity and I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And then like you meet their business partner. You're like, dude, this is the most selfish, arrogant. But what are you thinking?
When I had
you basically
like
married.
in my 20s, in my 20s, I started a business with a guy and it went horrible.
Right.
Like, and what I mean by horrible, like we made money, but everything else was awful.
Yeah.
And I thought I could just quit. Well, you can't quit.
Yeah, when you own the company.
When you have
yeah.
a 50-50 partnership with a person, right? So I had a mutual friend of ours, well, not really a friend now, but was a friend. About 5 years ago, they wanted to start a business, and they wanted us to be 50-50 partners, me and them. And I said, I don't know you that well. I know they were a part of our tribe. They were with us, and they seemed like they were the real deal, right?
Yeah.
So I said, I don't know you that well, so I'm not going to do a partnership, but I'll take like 10% of the gross of whatever we do together. And we'll see about a partnership in the future once we've kind of been around each other.
You
for
wanted
a
to
few
date
years.
first. Yeah.
Yeah. So that person's no longer in my life, doesn't really like me anymore, and never paid me 10% of the gross of anything we did.
Sounds like a solid plan.
But the thing is, I didn't have a partnership.
well, thank God you didn't sign your name up to, with that person.
Yeah. So anyway,
but that's real quick. Really capture that because people get fixated, on the
opportunity.
upside and they completely ignore the principle about who you're with and the principle of alignment. That the way I always say this, it's like going to Vegas and you end up marrying the stripper.
Yeah.
It's like, no one thinks
this can work.
Candy's great. No one thinks that's a good idea.
I'm rescuing her.
Right. No, yeah. Yeah, I swear she's gonna change. Like no one thinks that. Like we're laughing, but that's what you do because
No, that's what people do. They have dollar signs in their eyes, or they think about, in my situation, it's like, oh my gosh, this guy pursued me. There's all these green flags.
Yeah, it's the ego. Yeah.
And this could be amazing, man. I could write New York Times bestsellers and turn this in. And of course there's like that potential.
Yeah.
But also there's potential for worst case scenarios too.
Right.
So anyway, I just went, look, I'm open to all that. And if our alignment's great, then hey, we'll do other stuff together. But I'll do one book and we'll take one book to a publisher. So like a lot of authors, what they want to do is they want to sign multi-book deals. So they'll sign a 3-book deal. They'll write 3 books with a publisher. And I'm like, we're going to do one at a time because we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
So anyway, I signed this deal, and then I'm like, I got to write the book first. So I spent like 8 months.
Labored.
Right.
As your friend, I saw you labor over
I
this,
mean, it
man.
was, I signed the book deal a year ago.
Yeah, I remember. I was in England. I remember.
I didn't sign the book deal. I signed the rep deal a year ago, and finished the book. I finished the book in January.
Right.
So
it's like 7 months.
7 months of pretty much nonstop writing.
How many words was it? Just let everybody know because that'll give them a good idea.
Man, I ended up with 70,000 words, which is like a 250, 300 page book. But the amount of words I took out, so I have 70,000 words in like the main manuscript, but then I have 150,000 words that I added that were in there that I edited out.
Yeah. Homie wrote like a J.R.R. Tolkien series for one book.
So I just spent, it's like for me, it's if there was one book I was going to write, this is the one book I would write.
Yeah.
Right.
So Matt, the reason we're telling this story, I kind of like this. This is like a new episode for us. It's like stories with lessons. The reason we're telling everybody all this is because we were trying to help you understand like this is like a dream for a lot of people. You pour your heart into this. Like, cause you and I would talk about it, not on the podcast, but you would talk about how you were wrestling with it. And you'd be like, man, I've just been like so deep in this. And we would text back and forth about it. And I'm like, man, like you were laboring. You were literally pouring out your heart into this.
Yeah. And so I finished so think about all that. And I know there's a lot that I just said, but think about all that and think about the lesson I need to learn. Right. So at the same time, throughout my life over the past couple of years, I've had really trusted people in my life tell me that I'm not presenting or communicating in a way that connects well with an audience.
Right.
Right. So that's been said in our church. That's been said in like the Mighty Men room that we're in. That's been said by people like Erwin McManus, who doesn't really see me speak a lot, but knows me pretty well.
Yeah.
It's been said by my parents. On and on I could go. Trusted voices in my life. So I write this book, and it's like everything I want to say.
Yeah.
It's everything that I feel like this is what God's put me on the earth to communicate. These are all the dots that God's called me to connect. The Way to Live was like kindergarten compared to this book for me, right? Because the Way to Live, the Way to Live, my first book, I would never tell people not to buy it, but my first book was a series of talks that I gave in Mighty Men that was really about foundational Christianity and what it means to follow Jesus.
I do think it's like, I remember when I read it, I was like, dude, where was this book when I first gave my life to Christ? I really think it's a great read for somebody. So it's this
foundational approach to Christianity that's kind of rooted in Stoic philosophy.
Well, it's giving people the real. It's like you lay it out. Like, I'll just ruin it for people, and not ruin it. I mean, you should get it, but like you lay out the timeline.
It's not a novel. There's no like spoiler
right?
alerts.
Yeah, there's no secret ending. Guess what? Jesus wins, guys. Like we all know that one.
Yeah.
No, but you lay out. I think you do such a great job of laying out how like you go through the 400-year period of silence that ends after the book of Malachi. Mm-hmm. Between Malachi and Matthew, there's 400 years, right? 430, I think, between the time that Jesus comes, which not so coincidentally was the same amount of time from the Exodus, right? Until they got taken out. God likes to work he speaks in rhyme. And so you talk about what happens in that period that then influences the writing of the New Testament and the world that Jesus comes into. And you talk about how that influences the way we need to look at our decision to follow Christ. Yeah. And I just thought you did it so well because it is really like a, hey, count the cost, understand the game you're playing book. And it was so good.
And understand the practical. Like I grew up in a version of Christianity. It's not very practical.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Like similar to, you had similar kind of charismatic Pentecostal upbringings. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just things that don't need to be spiritual or overly spiritualized.
There can be something wrong with it if it's immature.
Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, I wrote that book from that perspective. Or I did these talks and that became a book, but I didn't really talk about everything I would want to talk about.
Yeah.
Because the biggest question is, there's basically three questions in that book that,
yes,
that you ask. So that we ask in life that determine whether or not we live a meaningful life. One is, what is truth?
Yeah.
The second, I haven't even thought about it. I haven't thought about this in a few months. That shows you where my headspace at. The first is what is truth? One of my kids is coming in on this podcast right now. Hi. In just a minute, we're going to be done.
That's a good alert. That's like, she's our producer. She's like, are y'all done yet? Like, get to the point.
What is truth? The second is, who am I?
Yeah.
Right. And the third is, what's the meaning of my life?
Right.
So that book is basically, here's how we've tried to answer that question historically as human beings, philosophy, history, all that. But then also, here's how God answers those questions and how those things all tie together. So this is a book I was really excited to write. And when I wrote it, put it together, I feel like I spent so much time like really just trying to focus on what the universal truth is behind these questions, right? And send it. I don't send the publisher. I don't send my agent the whole book. I send him the proposal. And
because you were talking to me about that. You had to put a pitch together for this book that you'd already written.
Right, I already written the book.
Yeah,
and that's usually not how it goes.
Right.
But for me, that's how it goes, just based on how I write. And so I put this proposal together, and that was that would have been at the beginning, maybe end of December, beginning of January, and then from January, February, March, we're just going back and forth on talking about it. Right. Because, I mean, he's a fan. He likes what I have to say. He feels like the world needs my voice. But he's like, man, you have to really think about whether or not this is what people need to hear.
Right
now.
Sounds like feedback you've had before.
And he's like, this is a book. So the conversation basically landed on, and it was great, man. He's been really so helpful that he went and had a bunch of different people review it.
Oh, wow.
Supposedly, we'll see, right? I mean, I don't know.
Dude, don't be so cynical,
I don't want to, well, I don't, he's like, bro, he the last time me and him sat down and met, he's like, dude, I'm just telling you, everyone's asking about when Josh Kraft's book's going to come out, which
you're immediately going to be
I
like,
find
no, they're
that
not.
hard to believe based on my current audience. Right. But anyway, I believe that. But he's like, dude, everyone's waiting for your book. And all these publishers are really wanting to see it. I'm like, okay, I don't know how much that is him
Dude,
just
let's
like
play the
dapping me
positive
up.
what if monster.
Right.
What if that's true, bro?
So
I might get famous from being on your podcast.
He shows this proposal to multiple people, and they all pretty much have the same feedback, which is these are great ideas, these are great things to talk about, but no one will buy it.
Dang.
And I'm like, well, why wouldn't anyone buy it? He's like, this is the kind of book that you would write as like your fifth book.
Right.
Like this is a book you would write once people
already trust your voice.
Because in the Christian world, he's like, in the Christian world, which is mostly what they sell through, they don't want to have these conversations.
Right.
So the biggest problem for me in writing this book has been, this is like our greatest issue. What I'm talking about in this book is our greatest issue. The problem is most people don't realize it.
Thank you for listening to the Dialogue. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And also, if you think someone else would enjoy this, please send it to them. If you want to get in touch or learn more about me, what I think, speak, and write, you can go to joshuacraft.com, or you can also follow Nick and I on Instagram. Our handles are in the show notes. We'll see you next time.